talk about the literature that says what a rotator cuff tear even is, and how the different degrees of the tear, how they're talking about the tear, so that when someone is like, oh, I have this kind of tear, you can visualize what they're even talking about. We're going to talk about what happens if it's repaired, how does it recover from different types of tears, the repairs last. If they don't get it repaired, what could happen? Sometimes exercise is a good idea, sometimes exercise is not a good idea. Sometimes repairs may be okay, sometimes they're not okay. Associations to rotator cuff tears in the literature has been alcohol consumption, hyperlipidemia, heavy lifting, repeat usage, smoking, diabetes, or throwing athletes, age, body weight, high blood pressure, and total muscle mass. It says here, shoulder rotator cuff tears are among the most common skeletal musculoskeletal clinical disorders, and the incidence increases rapidly by age 50. There's 4.5 million shoulder injuries per year in the United States, of which 70% are due to rotator cuff tears. Okay, rotator cuff tears result in chronic pain, tissue dysfunction, and reductions in mobility and activity, thus impaired healthy aging. Rotator cuff injuries are often found at the tendon-bone interface. So it says here, it's well understood that the tendon and bone undergo degenerative processes with age. However, it remains unclear how the microstructure and cellular functions, cellular functional properties of the enthesis, which is that bone interface, change with age. So rotator cuff tears can occur at any age, but are increasingly evident. How many people have asymptomatic rotator cuff tears?
Probably a bunch.
Yeah, right? What are the chances of an asymptomatic rotator cuff? Are prevalent in general population. They are positively associated with age and are common in the contralateral shoulder of individuals who are being treated for shoulder pain. The prevalence of asymptomatic partial thickness rotator cuff tears has been reported from the range of 8 to 40% and 0 to 46% respectively. That's a big range of difference. They're likely to become symptomatic over time, corresponding with decreased function, strength, and range of motion. Previous studies have largely reported inconsistent findings regarding patient-reported outcome, strength, range of motion, and kinematics. Rotator cuff tears are approximately affecting 40% of the population over the age of 60. Specifically, the author concluded that approximately 25% of the rotator cuff repairs in a typical study failed to remain intact. Small tears, defined as full thickness deficits in the supraspinatus tendon under 1 centimeter anterior to posterior. Medium tears were defined as full thickness deficits in the supraspinatus tendon only greater than 1 centimeter and less than 3 centimeters. Large tears involved full thickness deficits with both the supraspinatus and the infraspinatus, and that were greater than 3 centimeters but less than 5 centimeters. Massive tears involving all three tendons of the supraspinatus, infraspinatus, and subscapularis were greater than 5 centimeters in the anterior-posterior direction. And that was the histological evidence of muscle degeneration in advanced human rotator cuff disease by Gibbons. Further complicating matters, it's been shown that system duration does not correlate with rotator cuff tears of severity for patients. So the pain level doesn't even correlate to the type of tear they have. So pain isn't consistent with material problems. That's a problem. So 20% of patients were in their 60s, up to 80% of the patients over 80 have tears in some studies. And one guy found that patients with full rotator cuff tears, increasing proportion aged to 66 or older, have a 50% chance of having a contralateral rotator cuff tear that's asymptomatic. That is unknown to the patient. Asymptomatic tears have been shown to develop pain in approximately 30 to 40% of patients between 2 and 5 years. One study said surgical intervention represents more of a challenge due to poor healing and higher re-tear rates, which is between 18 and 94%, depending upon which piece of literature, right? Which is in part associated with increased age, tissue quality, the repair, the ability to repair, and the patient group. Poor outcomes are influenced by factors such as retraction of the rotator cuff tendons towards the glenoid fossa and the deposits of intermuscular adipose tissue. So it seems like that fatty degeneration, the fatty infiltration or fatty replacement, that is something that a system-wide muscular exercise approach could directly influence the metabolic demands across the board, regardless of if somebody's repairing it. You know what I mean? So those repairs in themselves, approximately 50% of the patients aged 65% are presented with a tear. Muscle quality remains an important factor in determining outcomes for rotator cuff repair and long-term changes. The materials that are used for surgical interventions, are they all your materials?
No.
No, right? So they're drilling into this, they may drill into this, there may be some things that are anchored into here that are non-living. And people are stretching it, people are putting a lot of force into it, and they think it's going to heal like the rest of you.
Yeah.
It is not. And now, not only is that a part of the intervention, but then it's also the surgery itself that you have to heal from somebody changing the position of this stuff and anchoring new tissues in, right? That are not ours. Show me what a rotator cuff exercise is. I already biased you now, didn't I?
Well, no, because like I just go back to like the exercises that they had me do in
Yeah,
rehab.
they're like doing this kind of
they're
stuff,
like,
right?
Do this and then pull this way and then come here and pull down, and if you have to
Right.
go overhead, make sure you do palm up, and then you can get up there and do whatever you need to.
Go ahead and lay on your back real quick. How do you not stabilize yourself this way with your arm being here right now? Right?
That's
so,
fair.
So then is that a rotator cuff
I mean,
exercise?
technically.
I don't know.
I feel like everything is.
It's like, okay, then does this become a rotator cuff exercise? You know, and then I got to stabilize my elbow here. If I pull here, I can see your shoulder has to participate in this. Well, like, am I going to help it out? So now I'm looking at control either locally or systemically, and then I'm noticing what did they experience, and I'm asking questions about that.
Yeah.
So when people talk about directly affecting the rotator cuff, what is not directly affecting your rotator cuff is really the question. Because if they're feeling something different, or if somebody's working out and they're like, man, I really feel it when I blank, blank, blank. Oh, tell me how you do that. And if there's an exerciser that's watching this, think about how you did it, because that orientation, there's a whole bunch of things that your brain has got to then come up with a solution for. You're in a gravity field, your vestibular system is, you're on your back, your eyes are looking in this direction. Everything that's involved may have a sensation or perception change towards this hole. And it's only like the things that we can detect and that we can change so that we can have a specific adaptation back to what we're looking to do.
Yeah.
And that's full circle on this. That's why it's so important to think, okay, what's the activities that they're doing? How am I turning this into an intervention where I'm going to take away a stimulus or add a stimulus for a specific adaptation? How many things are we really talking about that we need for a specific adaptation to what imposed demand? What is the real demand that we're looking for? Is it a sensory demand? Is it a feedback demand? Is it a torque demand? Is it a perception demand? Because sensory would be like, okay, I'm going to do these things, but it's not, it's under perceptive level.
Yeah.
But now it's like, I'm going to ask them, well, what happened there? What was your fatigue level? Did you feel something you didn't like? Was it tight? Do you feel strong? Do you feel, man, that feels free. It feels light. Okay, cool. Perceptive states, way different. What is the endurance quality of it? How long did it take to recover? How they feel the next day? What happens when I start putting these frequencies together? Because we now know one thing really matters, muscle quality. And what are we here for? We're here to help with muscle quality. That's why we're muscle system specialists, is the idea that we're boosting quality of the muscular system that has to control itself specifically for the actions you want to do. Whether it's a rotator cuff, whether it's a hip problem, whether it's a foot problem, because really it is I can't do this problem. I don't know when somebody needs exercise until it's like, okay, what what are all the things that have happened to you. Now I have an idea of the timeline it may take, because some of these materials, they don't heal so well. And like if they went to get surgery, if they have a massive tear, the percentages of a massive tear with fatty degeneration, they don't normally come back. Sometimes pain is too great, and I get it. So that becomes a real question. And the exercise studies aren't much better because they can't qualify and quantify the right position to make the exercise repetitive so that they can put it in a clinical control trial to meet the standards of the clinical control trial so that's repeatable. But then the muscle quality seems to be one of the only things that we can impact. And then as we now know that no rep can ever really be repeated, how can we at least see progress of the outcomes that we want to see to have people going towards the adaptation that they're looking for to do the things that they want to do. Cool.
Yes, I've been enjoying this one.